Hello and welcome to Were You Not Entertained? I'm Daniel.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm James.
And we are going to be talking about The Devil All the Time, which is a Netflix original.
Yes, we will.
Another one that can be enjoyed from your couch.
With an insane cast.
Yeah.
Truly star-studded.
And just to go ahead and throw this out there, the performances, they put the money in the right place. Oh my God. Everybody in this movie kills it.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
Now, the movie as a whole, we'll dig into that a little bit later.
Yeah, so it's billed as a crime drama thriller, which I think it is a crime drama, but it's more of a character drama as well, and a little less thriller. I don't necessarily know where they got thriller from.
Yeah, I mean, there's thrilling moments that are tense, but it was very much more of a drama with some crime and thrill in it.
To me, this feels like a super drama crime version of The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Okay.
Interesting. But they're not separate stories. They all, and spoiler alert, just in case you haven't listened to us before.
Oh, we're going to spoil everything.
We like to ruin things. But The Ballad of Buster Scruggs is individual stories.
Some of them tied together, though.
Ish.
And they had like a central theme, and they were all hillbillies, and you're constantly watching each little subset of people do their own thing.
Which movie are you talking about now?
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
There's not hillbillies in The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. What are you talking about?
They sing country. You can't think
wow.
and not be hillbilly.
Oh no. Yeah.
So moving on from the
I'm not going to touch that. Yeah, let's just keep moving.
Sorry, my non-Southerner perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there. I don't know. The vibe I got was like West Virginia, No Country for Old Men. And I know that that's not a unique perspective. I was feeling that way while watching it. And then when kind of digging into some extra information about the movie afterwards, I definitely wasn't the only one. That's a common takeaway for most people.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's just so damn bleak.
Yeah. Well, it is. Absolutely. I think the closest thing that I can actually compare it to is like Crash.
That was another thought that went through my head. The way that the stories are so essentially intertwined.
Yeah.
They're required, or like individual things had happened slightly differently, and the entire story wouldn't have played out the way that it did.
Right. Exactly. And they're all reliant on each other, and they're all kind of darker or have darker outcomes. There's not really a happy storyline in this at all, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing that doesn't make the movie bad or anything. It's just when I was seeing it and I was like, all these stars are in it and it's supposed to be a thriller, and I was expecting at least parts of it to be a little bit more upbeat than it really was. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Fried Green Tomatoes kind of thing, where it's like dark stories, but at least there's some lightheartedness and
there's a very slightly lighthearted end.
I mean,
is it?
How do you call that lighthearted, though?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't die.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
I guess in the pure like comedy tragedy perspective, if you don't die, you're a comedy. There's that, but
I just wasn't
Everybody else
certain
died.
that as a hitchhiker he was going to get in the hippie van and not die.
I thought for sure with him nodding off that he was about to die. I thought the guy was going to kill him, or they were going to get in a car wreck or something.
But he didn't, so upbeat.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
I think I expected it to. I mean, there was lots of action, but I think I expected more of, I guess, traditional thought of action in it from being a crime thriller.
Sure, chase scenes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could get that.
Yeah.
I don't know. When talking about the end specifically, I kind of felt like there was a message there. And it almost seemed like it was him leaving the small town where everything was so interconnected and where every tragedy begot another tragedy over and over and over again was kind of leaving to start something new. And the idea of jumping into a hippie van to leave West Virginia, that it was an entirely new choice, and he wasn't doing the same old thing over and over and over again. And that I don't know. I kind of saw. I wasn't afraid of him getting killed in the hippie van.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I can definitely see that. It was just one of those things to me that, with the way how everything had gone, I was just like, they're just gonna gut punch you one more time.
Yeah,
before they set the lights out and say, "All right, we're done here."
It's the Game of Thrones effect. After Ned Stark, I'll never trust again.
You're right. Exactly. So that's just what I expected. And we've talked a lot about expectations, but what about what it actually was? Like, I actually enjoyed this. There were times that it was a little slow. Once I realized that it was based on a book, everything all made sense because it was acted out as if it were a book.
Yeah.
It was edited together like it was a book.
That was my biggest thing, is like 2/3 of the way through this movie, I realized it was a book. I absolutely went and looked it up while I was sitting there on the couch, because I was like, there's no way this isn't based off a novel, because there is a ton of internal dialogue I know is not being expressed. And they had the narrator to try to give some of it, or at least the kind of overarching storyline pieces. But
right.
I could just tell that there was a massive amount that was being left out. And I haven't read the book, but it was pretty obvious to me sitting watching the movie that this was based off a movie, or based off a book. And I thought it was cool that they got the original writer, Donald Ray Pollock, to be the narrator.
Yeah.
So
that was
awesome.
A nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and it was exceptionally well acted.
Absolutely.
Even as strange as Robert Pattinson's high-pitched voice was.
Oh, I loved it.
The accent was still good.
It was so dead on. I mean, maybe not for that specific town in West Virginia, but it was believable.
Yeah, it was.
Right, and same with Bill Skarsgård. He didn't really feel like a Swedish guy doing his best impression of a country accent.
And Tom Holland was on point. It was wonderful to see him do something so different.
So gritty. I'm not sure that I've seen him in anything besides Spider-Man or the Marvel universe in general.
Right.
I know he's done other things, but yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. I was impressed by everybody's
somber.
acting. Yes, he was. Well, and
but
they tell you why. They show you why.
Fair enough. You did ask, though, Daniel, kind of what was our overarching feeling on it.
Yeah.
I feel like this, I kind of was like, are we getting ahead of Oscar season? Because while I felt like it was a perfectly executed movie, I kind of felt like that it was either Oscar bait, or that it was trying to do justice to the source material. After realizing that it was a book, I kind of thought it was that, but I think this is also Oscar worthy. Now, did that mean that I felt like it was a compelling and thrilling movie that I'd want to watch again. Unfortunately not. It was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And
I would say, yeah, it was a little more kind of artistic as far as that goes. As far as the case and,
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I enjoyed the movie. I liked it.
I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah.
But I don't really have an interest in watching it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be watching it again. And I don't see it doing well. Like if it were made for theaters, I don't see it doing well in theaters. It's not that kind of movie.
For once, though, I think a Netflix movie was shot well enough for theaters. I think it would be gorgeous on the big screen.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
But the pacing was just a little bit. Like I said, I felt like there was so much internal dialogue missing. And the actors did an incredible job of expressing it with, body language and facial expressions, but it's not the same.
Right. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
I think that they did the best job that they could, but it did feel a little bit pieced together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is just due to not having the fluidity that you would with a book, because you're missing those tie-ins and those transitions and the deeper character development, because you have so many characters and so many subplots going on that to squeeze all of that into a 2+ hour movie, it's difficult. I think they did a good job, but I'm not certain if maybe some more of those elements being tossed in there would have given it more of a movie feel and less of a storyline pieced together feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the problem, right? Like I said, it's more of a character drama than anything else. And in being such, a 2-hour movie could easily turn into a 3.5-hour movie to try to fill in all those gaps. And then you no longer have a movie. Yeah, I mean, you might as well make it like a mini series or something.
Something like True Detective Season 1, which is kind of some of the feels that I got from this.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of that. Interesting story, but maybe the book's better, which is kind of what you always hear, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's always like, "Oh, I read the book; it was better." And it's like, okay, but it's a movie, and it was made to be a movie, and I realized that the book is better, but this is what it's designed for. But this didn't feel that way. This didn't feel like this is a movie, and it's a movie's movie. It's a book's movie is what it is.
No, I get that. It actually makes me think of something. This is kind of off the cuff, so I haven't really thought this through, so forgive me if it's not well thought out or there's tons of holes in it, but it almost seems as though there's more of that the actual meaning is the religious metaphor through it, and that it feels a little disjointed in a movie because you don't have that internal dialogue to give you more of the depth into the reason characters do things, and you have to kind of figure it out by their actions.
Mm-hmm.
And so the through line of how, their relationship with God and their fight with the devil, all the time to play on the movie.
Yeah.
That would have had more of a tying line between each of the different stories, more than they're just like happenstance to pass each other in the diner or whatnot, to tie the stories together. I don't know. Yeah. I think that there might have been kind of more of a metaphorical arc across each of the individual stories, and those ties together are just kind of for the audience, but that you have to imply it more in a movie where you don't get that. But also haven't read the book, so maybe totally wrong on that.
Right. And that's the other side. Haven't read the book.
Yeah, I think I am going to have to check out the book after this, though.
Yeah.
Because now that you've said No Country for Old Men, that was an excellent book. So
And it's like 300 pages. It's not a
might
huge
have to
book.
check it out.
It's no The Stand or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not Moby Dick.
Casual weekend read.
Should be.
I don't know about casual, but
Casual for her.
Yeah.
well, I'm not talking about length. I'm talking about like I doubt the book's very
Oh,
casual.
Right. Yeah.
It's
okay.
probably a pretty somber book as well.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
But
Now, I'm a little curious with some of the styling choices in this.
what do you mean?
And I hesitate to bring it up, but Sebastian Stan, famous for his super fit Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
Right.
Did he
I
gain
didn't
weight for
even
this?
recognize him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming so. Either they put him in a fat suit, or he gained a lot of weight.
And I wonder if it's for this or a separate project or.
Life.
Well, I think isn't he doing a Disney Plus TV show?
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I
Yeah,
would think
they're
he'd have
supposed
to
be.
stay in a similar shape. That would be really hard to gain this kind of weight and get back in shape that quickly.
He's an actor, and that's what actors do.
Yeah, but I mean, Robert Pattinson's about to play Batman.
Yeah, no, that's
He's
true.
currently filming it.
Yeah.
That is true.
Well, skinny British.
Yeah, we
boy
had
is-
Spider-Man, Winter Soldier, and
Yeah.
Batman in this movie.
Batman.
They're just cherry picking Marvel and DC,
Mhm.
I guess.
I guess so. I feel like Riley Keough's been involved in something.
They got.
But I don't
they got
remember.
it. They got.
Yeah, they got Pennywise.
Yeah,
All the big names.
Yeah,
one of the Little Women.
one of the Little Women. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
The sickly sister.
hmm
It really is an all-star cast. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or maybes about that.
I do want to say, like, I didn't feel like I gave enough love to Robert Pattinson. He was deplorable in this, in the best way. Not like good deplorable, but like I hated his character, but his performance was stellar.
Yeah,
It was so good.
no, it really was.
He wasn't your typical caricature of a bad guy. He was just a piece of crap.
Yeah,
It was believable in a weird way.
well,
Because
because
it's not like he had a ton of screen time. And to make me hate you so thoroughly and still actually believe like you're a realistic character was impressive.
they said just go on and be an ass. He was like, okay, I'm gonna do that.
Well, and he was terrible even before you figured out he likes to prey on the innocent girls in the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
The
terrible from like
The get
Jump
Chicken
Street.
livers.
the way he talked down to them. That
He's
that would
terrible from
be
chicken livers. Yes,
that'd be
exactly.
humiliating. I can't imagine you and your ruffled shirt come in here and talk down to me
Right.
about my poor people food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Tough movie, man. It was
is.
it was not this is not a fun movie.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
No,
But-
and there was something missing to it to make it not fun in that uniquely artistic Oscar kind of way.
Yeah, I could see it. There was,
You know, that quality, like Manchester by the Sea, not fun, but you kind of get it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was just a little touch of something. I don't know what it was, but
It was so glum, and all the characters were the only good people seemed naively good, and they all got horrible endings. And everyone else, I don't know, they were morally compromised, and I never felt like I was about to shed a tear in this movie. Where a
no.
lot of good Oscar dark movies, you know, they'll pull one out.
Yeah, no
I'd
one
say
was
the
a very,
uncle and the uncle and the grandmother.
but they had such minimal screen time, and
They did, but nothing bad happened to them.
Yeah, not
other than
enough.
all the other people's tragedies that are in their life.
Fair enough. But I'm talking about any of the like main characters. And the 8 of them or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not a lot of charm or sympathy.
No.
And I feel like you need one of those qualities.
I didn't ever really feel like I was rooting for a single character to do anything. There were characters I didn't want bad things to happen to, but there was never a stated goal that I wanted them to achieve.
Yeah. Well, I think Arvin was the only character that I guess identified with and liked.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't there's no end goal for him. There wasn't really an end goal for him, right? It was
just to get out and knock him stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really it. And then survive the road trip.
And bury his dog's bones.
All right, well, I think we've picked this movie apart sufficiently. Let's go ahead and get into our favorite scenes before we finish up.
All right.
What about you, Rachel? What was your favorite scene?
I don't really know that I have a favorite scene.
Well, you got to pick something.
I know.
That's how this works.
It's like this is a brand new thing for
No.
you.
I've been trying to think about what's my favorite scene. There's good scenes, but there's nothing that I'm just like, that was incredible. I loved it.
Okay, well, you think about it, and I'll go with mine.
All right, what's that,
'Cause
Daniel?
I actually have a scene.
Oh, let's hear it.
So my favorite scene was actually with, was actually with Bill Skarsgård and Willard, I guess, and then young Arvin.
Okay.
After they're praying and they hear the people behind them, the two poachers behind him, talking crap, and then they go in for the drive into town or whatever, and to pick up sugar, and basically continues the teachings of, you might not have started it, but you better finish it, and pick your moments.
Yeah.
And illustrates it perfectly.
That would be your favorite scene.
Yeah, it was my favorite scene.
It's also probably it's probably the moment that compromises Arvin's character.
Yeah, it's compromises ish. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say that, right? Because we can say in a civilized society, you're not supposed to go around beating the crap out of people that are harassing your stepsister at school on a daily basis and causing her mental trauma. But on the other side, well, somebody should do something.
Yeah, but I do also feel like it was a direct link to him committing murder. Wow. We can argue whether that's deserved or not, but yeah. No, it was a very good scene, and it was one that kept me glued to the screen. It is powerful.
It is the linchpin in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it is one of the most poignant scenes.
Yeah.
It's where he learns eye for an eye.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
All right, we'll give you a little bit more time, Rachel. I'm going to go ahead and do mine. Mine was when Arvin went back to bury the bones of his dog and was confronted in the woods at the church by Sebastian Stan, Deputy Bodecker, I guess. Bodecker.
Yep.
That kind of play out where there were two non-innocent people that you still kind of felt for. Like, while the sheriff was crooked and was trying to play the game with the criminal, I don't know exactly what it was, whether a gangster or something like that.
We'll call him a gangster. He was
Sure. And, you know, murdered in cold blood 2 people, even though they were gangsters.
yeah.
There was something somewhat sympathetic about him. You know, I don't know. I didn't feel like he was a total piece of crap. It seemed like a lot of things that he was doing was to protect his own reputation.
Mhm.
But there was also kind of a sense that he was trying to protect his sister.
Right.
And so, you know, because it would be easy to look at it as though he burned all the photographs of the murders so that he could get reelected. But I don't know. There seemed to also be a piece of it that he didn't want people to know his sister was a serial killer.
Yeah, there was more to it.
Right.
That.
And so there was that kind of like complicated relatableness to him. And so that showdown in the woods, I didn't really know how I wanted that to play out. And it worked out beautifully. I thought that the way they paced the kind of game of cat and mouse between the 2 of them, because they're also the most clever characters in the movie.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then it kind of went back to the scene earlier where I believe that it was the scene with the preacher, Harry Melling. The preacher Roy,
yeah.
who got bit by the spider, when he looked up before he was about to die, I think that was when it was, when he saw the trees. But it was a visible shot that I had caught first, it was referencing back to that. But anyway, really cool scene. I thought that it was also action. Something actually happened.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Very fair. No, that is a good scene, though.
What about you, Rachel?
You've had your tag.
I have had my time. I guess I'm going to have to go with one of the first scenes when, I don't remember his name, Bill Skarsgård's character's coming back from war. Willard. And he stops in at that diner.
Ooh, that's such an important scene.
Because that starts your 2 main storylines for this whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he meets his wife, and that's where the 2 serial killers meet each other as well.
And it might have gone so differently if they hadn't had the whole seat debacle.
Yes.
Yeah.
One tiny moment that changes the whole fate.
Because you might have had Carl with the bad intentions meet the good-natured, what was her name? Charlotte?
Yes.
And then you would have had Willard end up meeting, what was her name? Sandy instead.
Exactly.
And that could have been a completely different story. Maybe they would have balanced each other.
Maybe they wouldn't have talked to each other ever again.
Right.
It would have ended there.
They would have all been lonely.
Movie over.
Yeah.
That would have been very abrupt.
Yeah, well, he could have married the girl in the church.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Could have. And then she would have been alive.
She loves Crazy Preacher.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, there's so much overlap in the beginning of the movie that just you don't think about until afterwards. And you're like, that all of it had so much meaning.
Yeah. Yes,
and I think in the beginning is when the narrator was a lot more critical because all of his storylines were overlapping and he was sort of pointing you on which path we were going to follow.
Right.
Yeah, and he was giving you kind of the details early on, even when it was just a couple quick moments of 2 characters together, and then you don't see them again for 30 minutes. That kind of deal.
Yeah, he gave context.
Yeah. Daddy did.
Also a great scene, man. And that's the thing. It's a movie full of great scenes with great performances, but it just feels like it comes together as an homage to the book more than an attempt to make a compelling movie.
Yep. I agree.
It makes me interested in reading the book, like you were talking about, Rachel.
Yeah.
But and maybe I'd enjoy the movie more if I read that first. That's kind of always the trouble you get in with an adaptation, is that if it's true to the book, it's usually not that great of a movie for people who haven't read it.
Right.
And then if it's not true to, if they make it into a great movie, then it probably has a lot of divergence from the book that makes fans angry.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
I guess we'll all have to read it and find out.
There we go.
Who's buying it so we can pass it around?
I'm going to get it on Audible. And that's not a plug. I just use Audible. But
cool.
Yeah, if you like the book, let us know what you thought. Please hit us up online. Make sure you go and like and subscribe. And join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?